Who all do we have here? Do you want to do an introduction?
Yeah, so good morning, everybody. My name's David. I'm the executive director, and that's Rose over there. She is our board chair. So why don't we start off with some introductions? It's a light meeting today. I figured it would be with it being December, but Lindsay, you want to start?
Yeah, sorry, I'm texting a few people like, hey, are you still coming? Yeah, I'm Lindsay Bailey. I'm CCI's program coordinator.
I'm David Phillips. I'm the executive director. Rose?
Rose Chef, I am the board chair and would not be if it weren't for David and Lindsay doing all the work. So yeah, that's what I do.
Ryan?
Ryan Bertolotto, I'm the chief of police for the city of Hayburn.
Thanks. David Roth?
Sorry, I couldn't get unmuted. I'm David Roth. I'm the executive director of the Bonneville Youth Development Council, and I'm also a member of CCI's board.
Yep, he's our treasurer.
Tara?
Hi, everybody. Tara Woodward, and I am the Partnerships for Success Coordinator out of Southwest District Health.
Awesome. Nice to see you again. Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather Allen. I am the Partnerships for Success Coordinator from Central District Health.
So nice to have you. Kaylee?
I'm Kaylee. I'm the Partnership for Success Regional Coordinator for Region 2.
Nice to have you. Mallory?
Hi, I'm Mallory. I'm the PFS coordinator for Region 7.
Nice to have you. Graydon?
Hi, I'm Kaylee's intern for Region 2 Partnerships for Success.
Awesome. Nice to have you. Kendall?
Hi, I'm Kendall Nagy with Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition and Meridian Police Department.
Awesome. Good to see you, Kendall.
You too.
Everyone's moving as they're turning on cameras. Jerry?
Hi, I'm Jerry Gowan. I am the 2C drug-free coordinator, fiscal agent, helper kind of person, and I'm also the Region 3 rep. And I've got a really bad cold, so I'm not going to be talking much, just listening.
Thanks for joining us, Jerry. Susie?
Good morning. I'm Susie Sturts with the Idaho State Drug Awareness Program. Happy to see everybody today.
Thanks for joining us. Dawn?
Good morning, Dawn Callahan, chair of the 2C Drug Free Coalition.
Thanks for joining us. Jim?
All right, wouldn't unmute. Jim Hopla, DCI evaluator.
Extraordinaire. Thanks. I think that's everybody.
Okay, so mission, it's always good to know. Mission: support community coalition's efforts to prevent youth substance abuse in Idaho. And our vision: safe and healthy Idaho, communities free of substance abuse. Cool. We might have to change that to misuse at some point. That's the new terminology, misuse, not abuse. But anyway. David.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So now we have the consent agenda. Lindsay sent out on Friday the minutes from November and the financial report. I believe everybody was on that email. You should have received those documents. Is there any discussion on either of those items? If not, can I get a motion in a second to approve the consent agenda?
This is David. I move to accept the agenda.
This is Kendall. I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Awesome. Okay, consent agenda is And Lindsay, are you taking notes? Because I don't see Grace on the call, so
I am, yeah, I just texted Grace and asked her, but I started out just to make sure.
good job. Thank you so much. And we are recording this, so we need to refer back to, we can. Okay, so I'm going to turn the first tab item on our new business. We're still working with the Workforce Development Committee to get some spotlights and mini training sessions. Those will kick off first of the year. So we're just going to move into new business, and I'd like to have Lindsay give us a recap on Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you. Giving Tuesday was last Tuesday. I am sure most of you have heard about it, and if not, just a quick little brief thing. It's just a national, well, worldwide day of giving and good deeds. Bake your neighbors some cookies, rake their lawn, donate to your favorite charity, anything that kind of falls within those lines. And CCI participated in it as well as our board did. And I kind of took that as a call to just really hit the streets and go around and really promote CCI business to business. I personally was able to make some really good connections that I think will be really beneficial to CCI. For example, it seems like we're going to be able to kick off a new partnership with Chobani Yogurt, and maybe hopefully they'll sponsor some of our things throughout that. So that's kind of in the works, as well as with David and I's and the boards and all of your guys' efforts. We were able to raise enough that we can sponsor a third member to go to CADCA, which is huge. Our budget really didn't have for that, but through these efforts, we were able to. So,
yeah, I really would like to thank those who stepped outside of their comfort zone. I know asking people for donations can be a little nerve-wracking, especially those of you coming from some of our smaller communities. I would like to applaud Lindsay for her gumption, because not only did she make some really good connections that we're planning on using to potentially have money for mini grants this year and to be able to fund to make our conferences still as amazing as they have been over the last couple of years. But she also left herself quite a lofty goal to raise. Did you hit your goal? I know you had that one last check to pick up. Did you hit your goal there, kiddo?
yeah, I did. For Tuesday last week, I set a goal of $500 and we hit 515 for my personal day.
So I really want to applaud Lindsay. She really hit the ground running with not only on Tuesday with out there hitting up businesses in her region to support us and the work we do here, but she also behind the scenes putting together the links and everything. Really just want to applaud her hard work and effort. I know that Natasha's not on right now, but I know she had said she's had some checks to send. Susie, she made a donation of $75. Really appreciate it. And I raised a little over $100 outside of that. So really appreciate it. I know I spoke with David Roth yesterday. He said he had some donations to grab and he would be letting us know. But it is that, even though those small dollar amounts, hundreds of dollars here and there, are allowing us to fill in some of the gaps so that we continue to do good work, and we can, and like Lindsay said, we can take some of that money and use it to be able to afford to send that third person. So those of you who live in your smaller communities, you find 10 people and give you $10, you've raised $100. So don't be afraid to ask people just for a couple bucks. What you got in your pocket kind of thing. Give me a couple bucks. I would like to thank Rose for her donation. I believe she threw $50 in the hat as well. So every few dollars helps us be able to continue to be able to provide resources for Red Ribbon Week, speakers for the state, and all of the other resources that we are able to, all the asks that we're able to fulfill from the different coalitions and organizations. So does anybody else have anything to share about Giving Tuesday before we move on?
The only other thing I would like to share is if any of you guys are ever going to do one for your guys' prospective organizations, I would really recommend asking your local vets for money. They're very passionate about drug prevention. I know Jim had some information to share previously about some vets wanting to talk about that with CCI. Hopefully that can still be in the works, but I found great success asking vet clinics for money. They're passionate about the work as well.
And if Lindsay, I don't know if you got your chat open, but you need to, because there's a couple of kudos in there for you. They're well deserved. All right, so we will move on to CADCA. I know we spoke about this last meeting, and we, with the help of Grace, we were able to put together a list of people who are interested in attending CADCA from the state of Idaho. And I didn't, when we were talking about it, I didn't want to go to Washington, DC until I found out that the Friday after the conference, they're holding the DFC workshop. They're holding one for new grantees, and they're holding ones for people like us who will be applying through 6 through 10 and having some conversations with the folks over at CADCA about, is this going to be beneficial to us? And they said yes. And some of the ways they said it would be beneficial that I latched onto where we were going to actually have FaceTime with people from ONDCP and the CDC about be able to ask them questions about the grant and some of the things that we would like to change in our action plan and some of the plans we have for the next 5 years of this grant. I thought it would be best to be able to ask these questions face to face and actually be able to put a face to our organization and be able to let them know what we do, so that when it came time to have them review our grant, they will remember, hopefully they will remember us and some of the amazing things that we have been able to do with this money and be able to grant us further so we can continue to move at the pace that we have been moving at. And like Lindsay said, when we combined, so if you look here in the agenda, we had $3,106 budgeted for CADCA and $4,720 for ICAD. There is no ICAD this year, so we were able to combine those two line items, and that left us with a little over $7,000. And Lindsay did a lot of hard work on the back end looking at the costs of everything, and it looked like it would hotel flights and registration. If we do the early bird, which is coming up here in next week, is wrapping up, would cost us $2,681 each. So with the two line items, we were a few $100s short, but I was looking at it, and the cost savings that we were able to do with the hotel that we'll share in a minute, as well as much money as we brought in with Giving Tuesday. Even if the hotel cost stayed the same, we would only need $217 to send a third person. So we were able to, because of the hard work of Lindsay and those of you who put some skin in the game, we were able to say we can comfortably afford to send 3 people to CADCA. So I'm going down my list, and Kendall, have you and Haley got approval to go with Meridian?
We did. We just got word this morning, and then the city will cover our costs. We just wanted to get that reduction based on our CCI membership, which you and I had already talked about. So we're good to go. Thank you.
And then Susie, were you still interested, and is that something that Elks is handling, or?
I thought about it, but January and February are really busy for me for taxes in March and April. So I don't think I better try to go away for a week.
Okay. And then I know Natasha, she's not on right now, right? Yeah, her and Kel, the Orfino Coalition is going to cover hers. And then David, can you share what BYDC is doing with, you're sending 2 people, correct?
Yeah, so BYDC is going to send myself and Jim.
All right.
And so, in fact, I just booked the last of our airfare this morning. And unfortunately, I think we're in different hotels than you, but that's okay.
Yeah. So that only leaves Lindsay, me, and Rose left on the list of people who wanted to go. And like I said, we have the 3 people now. We will say that we did have to book a hotel that's 1 block away from the Gaylord, because once again, even before early bird registration is over, the Gaylord has sold out one of the days. So I know, Rose, you had Lindsay shared with me when we were looking at the hotel situation, that you would prefer to stay at the Gaylord. If you want to, you can, but there's no hotel accommodations for
No,
Thursday.
That's fine. Wherever you guys are staying is good with me.
Okay, it's
The
not,
block isn't too far.
yeah, it's not super far. Jim, can you kind of share, so Lindsay, talk about the hotel, and then maybe Jim can give some input as well as about how close it is and everything.
Has a hotel been booked, David? Lindsay?
Yes,
has it-
when we saw that the stuff was, that things were starting to sell out, even at us surrounding hotels, me and Lindsay pulled the trigger and we booked the 3 hotel rooms. And I just
Good.
did on my credit card because I think our debit card has a limit that you can do, and it was sizable for 3 people. But you want to share that, Lindsay?
Yeah, so I was checking every day with CADCA, like with the Gaylord, making sure like, okay, they're not sold out, they're not sold out. And then when we were like, okay, like we're maybe getting to the point where now we have the funds where we could do that. David Roth was like, hey, the Gaylord just sold out. I'm like, no, it was open yesterday, but they sold out for that Thursday. And I am in contact if one does become available. Our hotel reservations that we currently have are, they can be canceled until January 20th. But I just felt with things closing and the financial situation, like David had said, like our card just won't let us do those things. And CADCA, you have to pay a portion up front. And anyway, or the Gaylord. So with that, I found one, or David recommended the Wyndham and Hotel, and it's literally across the street. It just, the only block is the parking lot essentially, and a little bit of the road. And it was able to save a little bit per night. That can also help for things like maybe getting a rental car if needed, or per diem or things like that.
Good job. Good job.
And
That sounds good.
Jim, you want to talk about what that downtown area looks like and really how close those hotels are?
Yeah, National Harbor is really, I don't know, it's this tourist town that's kind of separated out from the rest of DC, but there is a bus depot there that you can get over to the metro to get down to the mall and to other places. There are, I think there's 3 or 4 hotels that are right there in National Harbor, and then a 2-mile walk. I walked it. And there is the MGM, which is a big casino, but all the prices were pretty similar. They're in there, but the MGM is about a 2-mile walk, and it takes you down there. But it is kind of a little hike to get back and forth. But there are some good places to eat there at the MGM. But most everything is all contained down in there in that area, right in there. So
it's a good little spot. We actually ate lunch there I think once or twice this year for Forum. So it's not a bad little spot, and the hotels are all really nice over there. So and it saved us a little bit of money, didn't it, Lindsay? It was slightly cheaper than the rate CADCA got us for the Gaylord. You're muted.
muted myself. Yeah, for 3 people, it was just at, I'm trying to pull it open. Sorry, I've got too many things going. For 3 people, it was under budget by $300.
That's good.
I mean, I know it's not a ton, but it definitely will cover certain things.
Oh, it helps cover
Per diem.
per diem, and it also helps us because the next part of CADCA and Kendall, I'm going to be leaning on you guys for this as well. So it is this, we will be going doing our Capitol Hill appointments. CADCA has chosen to do virtual appointments from the hotel again. One of the things that we learned last year was that our congressmen and senators do not want us to Zoom in from the hotel. If we're in Washington, D.C., they want us to come and meet with them. That was what we heard from every single congressman and senator's office that we talked to. Even though we will be working on coordinating the state stuff for Idaho through CADCA, we will be setting up in-person appointments to meet with our legislators instead of virtual, because they feel all of our legislators in Washington, D.C. say, if you've traveled this far, why would we have you on a computer? Please come see us in person. So we will be working on that, setting up those meetings. David Roth and I spoke the other day about who we know and who we might be able, whose offices and who we might be able to connect with, so that we can get those appointments set up as soon as possible. I know, Ryan, if you guys have anything on the law enforcement side that you would like to see us talk to our federal legislators about, please feel free to shoot over some information to Lindsay or I, so that we can make sure, because one of the things that I'm worried about is the PFS program is coming to an end 2023. Of that funding ends during the summertime, right, Tara? Like June or July?
Yeah, we grant ends end of June.
And
Yeah, and nothing new has been announced yet. As of last week was what we heard from ODP. So
yeah, and one of the reasons why I bring that up is because there was funding in there to work with law enforcement partners. So since that funding is going away, I will be having ongoing discussions with our legislators on both the state and federal side about what we can do to fill the gap there. And then hopefully, as we do, we can let our law enforcement partners, specifically the ones who are partnering up with us, on how you guys can utilize that funding to bolster the work that you guys are doing in your communities. So, but everybody else, if you have any wants or needs that you want us to share with our federal legislators, you speak up now, or you can just shoot us some information, because we will be putting that all together to share out with our legislators.
Really appreciate it. I'll probably reach out to Lindsay. I know that the one concern is with the current federal status on marijuana, that will have some negative effects, especially if it hits us from the state level. Prior to coming to Hayward, I was the detective sergeant and administrative sergeant for the city of Emmett, and we saw a huge in our sex offenses, and all of them had marijuana nexus connected to the 9 pot shops coming out of Ontario, Oregon. So, unfortunately, because of that issue, it caused a lot of illicit drugs, in essence. So we saw a lot of marijuana candies. We saw a lot of the just a lot of bad stuff coming out of the legalization out of Ontario, and being only 40 minutes away, from Emmett to Ontario was starting to hit us hard. So if we end up going down this role of legalization, I foresee that we will continue to see some negative effects towards our youth, and especially with those sex offenses.
Yeah, that's always a really heavy topic. I mean, I know you're new to knowing me, but that is big bone for me. Coming from California, I've lived in a lot of the negative impacts and working in law enforcement in California, trying to weed through all of the changing laws and how it got worse and didn't get any better. So yeah, that's always a main topic that we share with our legislators. And then actually, coming from California, I have a few congressmen from California and other states that I have worked with in the past, that since I'll be there in Washington, D.C., I'm going to go set up some meetings with them too, and just share with them the concerns that we're seeing, because they may not be our legislators, but they're voting on things that are impacting the community at large. And since I still have good relationships with some of these Democrat legislators, I like to sit down with them and just share what we're continuing to see so that they can know what the impacts are looking like. And I have been back to California. I went to San Diego and the Inland Empire for a long weekend in October, and it's not gotten any better. It's gotten a lot worse.
It is, and even Oregon is like a live version of Zombieland.
Right?
It's the decriminalization of even like a hard drug. So, California, of course, after you passed Prop 47, Prop 57, and made a lot of the minor offenses no longer felonies. And you saw California, then they took what was considered extreme sentencing, and they reduced sentencing on violent felonies such as aggravated sexual assault. It has not been conducive to the state of California. And then we saw Measure 110 pass the state of Oregon, which had decriminalized all hard drugs, including methamphetamine, PCP, fentanyl. I mean, you name it, if it's a hard drug and it's a quote user amount, it is a civil penalty and a $100 infraction, unless if they have a doctor's note stating that they are using the substance for medicinal purposes. Nothing good has come from that yet from the state of Oregon. And, I'm not a hardliner for prison, but I am a hardliner for treatment, because that's what we really need for the substance abuse. Is we need to do more treatment, a lot more of the education. And the enforcement side, I hate putting people in jail or prison when it's a user, because you have the psychological and physical addictions, and those are the issues that we need to address.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I'm really leery of losing PFS funding, because those folks have really been doing a good job of filling those gaps for us, and even working alongside coalition partners like the 2C DFC, working with Tara. She's been a really good partner in helping make sure that prevention efforts are strong and that we're able to point people in the right direction. So like I said, if you guys come up with anything that you don't get a chance to share today, just let me and Lindsay know, and we will add that to the docket. And we will be setting up another meeting before we head off to CADCA that will be specifically about the Capitol Hill appointments. So if you have any concerns, or if you have any need, feel free to show up to that meeting and we can talk through everything there. Do we need a motion to approve to send these 3 people to CADCA?
Probably. This is David. I move that we send Lindsay, David, and Rose to CADCA at CCI's expense.
I second that. This is Susie.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Any opposed? All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, David. Rose, are you wanting to stay in for the workshop, or do you want to leave after the conference is done?
That workshop, showing up and asking questions is really important for recognition and stuff. But you guys are the ones that work with it. So I really think that, an extra night in the hotel and stuff now, I think you and Lindsay have got it.
And Jim, you're staying for the workshop, correct? Because I think BYDC is also applying for their second round too, right, David?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, both of us, I think, are staying. Yeah.
Okay, so me and Jim and Lindsay have it covered on CCI's behalf, and then we'll be there with David Roth too. So I think we'll have a good Idaho representation.
Yeah. And I think that's good. You 3 are the people that do the grant stuff. So
Anybody else applying for the DFC that might be interested in the workshop? Greg says, Idaho considered whether they want to do the grant or not.
We're considering it. I am not going to CADCA, so I just won't be there physically.
Okay, well, one of the things that they are talking about is the possibility of a virtual workshop. So if they do, we'll let you guys know so that you guys, if you have any questions that you might want answered. And if you do have any questions, Grace, I'd love to share them with the people from the CDC on your behalf so that you get a little more information moving into actually applying, like if it's going to be worth your time. So if you do, just send Lindsay and I information and we'll bring your questions, not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, next bullet point before we get into our reports. So the legislative session is starting, normally kicks off with actually introducing bills and all the craziness that happens in Boise about middle of January. But like Kendall brought up when we were talking about whether we're going to have a meeting today, is those of us who live in this legislative world, this is a busy time for us because we're getting ready for what is going to happen in January, because this session, your guys' session moves like a rocket and it is crazy. So has anybody heard anything that might be coming out of the legislative session? Does anybody have any concerns? I know Marco's working on his in-state funding proposals. He's not here today because he's on vacation, but we heard about that at the Fall Prevention Conference. I haven't heard, Monty has been sending out some correspondence on stuff. I haven't heard anything that is directly tied to any pending legislation on legalization here. We do have a medical marijuana new ballot initiative that has started circulating signatures. I actually know somebody who is very close to those running the petition gathering, and they're extremely frustrated on the inside because people are just turning it away. They keep saying, we don't want Oregon, we don't want Washington, we don't want California. So
Good.
keep telling everybody that if you smoke pot, you're going to turn into a Californian, and probably nobody in Idaho will sign the petition. So those are the three main things. Kendall said nothing specific to drug prevention yet. Okay, that's good. So one of the key things moving into the session, especially because we did get a lot of new senators and representatives, is get to know who represents you. Find them, especially on holidays, just be really easy because they're all at the parades and stuff. Shake their hand, tell them what you do, tell them how important the things that you do are to you. Remind them that you vote every single time. And what I like to tell people is 200 people ask me who I'm voting for, and they don't believe me until someone asks me right in front of them, so who are we voting for this year? Who are we voting for on this election? So but yeah, something that Senator Grow has shared with us is in person, face to face, because the phone calls are okay, a little impersonal, and they don't really read the emails we're finding out. So if you can get into their face, especially if you have a connection where your job is kind of swaggy, they will want to meet you. So any chance you can before they get to Boise, to let them know that you don't want marijuana legalization and all the other things that come with our job. And two, really push that 90 to 95% of the money that's spent on this work comes from Washington, D.C. Idaho does not allocate money from our budget outside of funding the Office of Drug Policy for prevention work. So really share with these legislators when you talk to them that if a bill comes up for us to find creative ways to fund prevention education in Idaho with our own tax dollars, that they should give it a serious consideration, because there are two bills that Marco has talked about getting lifted off, and he's been working on them for about 5 or 6 months. So I would share with them too that you really feel like Idaho needs to start anteing up to the bucket here, because if Washington D.C. stepped away from funding prevention, we would be in a world of hurt here.
Right.
Anything else? Anybody else want to share anything about the legislative session?
I was just gonna say, like, it doesn't have to be super formal. Like, I I know this is just state level, but I ran into Debbie Critchfield when I was Black Friday shopping, and I just was like, dude, I love the deal. Like, I'm so happy to see you here. I'm happy that you're on like part of our, part of our team. And so I'm not super into the political thing. Like I'm the worst one for it, I'll be honest, but I'm there to support, and I will always say hi to someone at Black Friday shopping. So it doesn't have to be, I feel like you're intimidated like by those things like I am. I don't think it has to be anything too crazy. It can just be that little mustard seed planting. So
Yeah, and Lindsay's been kicking butt with that. She's worked really well with the with her local school board, local officials, and yeah, when she's just like, yeah, I saw David Critchfield and I said hi to her and had a look. I'm like, there you go, check it out. So yeah, and especially the Department of Ed is going to be extremely important because there's a lot of changes that are happening there, and thankfully, conversations that me and Lindsay have had, it sounds like she's extremely supportive of our work. So it's very nice to hear. You have something, David?
I was just going to say, and I can cover it now or during the legislative committee portion. But one of the things with the legislative committee that I want to do this go around, and I know we've done this type of stuff before, is look at, new policies or laws that are being passed in other states that would be beneficial. So along with, our push towards anti-legalization, looking, are there some proactive things that we could be asking people for as well? Funding is always one, but there are some other things out there. The other thing I thought might be helpful, I'll just talk about it now, and then we don't really have to talk about it during the legislative committee section, is some of the other groups that, I'm a pretty political person, and a lot of the other groups that I'm involved in are putting out like virtual trainings as far as going to like testify at hearings. And I thought that might be something that we could work on putting together to share with our membership. Because if we do have a legalization bill come up, or we do have opportunities for funding, it might be great to try to get as many people as we could to testify. And so that would be a way that we could sort of train people on what to expect and how that works. So just some ideas that I had.
That's something that maybe the legislative committee could sponsor, because I know me and Kendall, we were kind of walked into an interesting situation a couple of years ago where we had a youth speak. Was it against the marijuana bill, Kendall?
I think it was in favor of Senator Groh's
That's right.
amendment.
And the members of the committee were asked some very direct questions that we weren't prepared for, right?
Yeah, and put our youth on the spot.
And the youth did an amazing job, unprepared. She did a really good job, but I think it would be good to really remind people, you're up there speaking, they can ask you questions, and the questions aren't always going to be easy or nice. I think that would be an amazing opportunity, especially because you can also, they're still allowing virtual
testimony,
right?
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just thought that, and I think I can commandeer some resources from other organizations to get ideas of how to put that training together. But I just thought it might be a good way to, oftentimes the opposition comes really well prepared. And so maybe this is an opportunity. I know as a legislative committee has done things every year for the session, and appreciate everything that's been done. And just thinking, how could we build on that? So sort of out of order, because I should have just talked about that in legislative committee, but there we go.
Cool.
I have a question. Maybe I'm being a little too fearful, but how are we ensuring something like that doesn't cross the line into lobbying?
That's why doing something like what I've described is really sort of a safe harbor, because we're not necessarily, if we're offering education on how to testify, for example, we're not telling them what to say, but we're trying to give them ideas of what it can be like, so it's not so intimidating. We're providing facts and information, but we have to be very careful not to be that, this is exactly what you say, or here's, and so advocacy is really important. And also it's us working with the community to help them. So there's even that extra arm in between us of, we're not the ones necessarily directly interfacing with the legislature, if that makes sense.
You want to add anything to that, Kendall?
Well, I know ODP did a great job at one of the CCI trainings on the difference between educating and lobbying. And I guess see if I still have some of that information. And there are a few key basics that help simplify it, because I know there's a lot of people that are very cautious and sometimes a little bit timid or afraid of overstepping that line. But with a few key parameters, there's a lot of opportunity to educate without crossing that line. So let me look and see if I can pull some of that up, but ODP might be a reference, David, as you're putting together a training as well.
Yeah, and some of the ways that we do it, you never, when you go up, you speak as a citizen of Idaho, and like David said, you're educating you. As long as you don't tie it back to your job and you're not there on the job hours, you can you have a lot of freedom. And specifically, say you want to step away from, speaking directly to you, Grace, say you want to step away from your representation of Idaho, you can still say, as a volunteer member of Community Coalitions of Idaho. Like for me, I don't step up and directly speak as the executive director of this organization, but I am a volunteer religious sector rep for the Meridian Anti-Drug Coalition. I am a lot of different things. So I kind of jump in and take hats off when I need to change my representation. And really, I scare a lot of people how I walk the line extremely. I'm dangerous with the line. So, like Kendall put in, one of our council members is a new senator, and I've sat down with Treg Burnt multiple times during the election. We're just letting him know how important all this prevention stuff is to us, and not legalizing marijuana and things like that. So, but I sit down as a citizen, educating him and sharing my input. So we've had coffee, we've had conversations at volunteer events. So your advocacy, if you're not comfortable with doing it in front of a committee, your advocacy can be done behind the scenes by having conversations over a cup of coffee, or snagging them when you see them out and about, and just saying, hey, really appreciate you remembering that marijuana is not great for the state, and then moving on. It doesn't always have to be as formal as in front of a committee, but those testimonies in front of committees are vital in getting something out of committee and onto the floor, so they can actually have a chance to be voted on, right, David?
Yeah, well, and not only that, I just looked really quick on the like for a quick difference between advocacy and education. One other way to look at it too is, as an organization, as a nonprofit, we run into lobbying efforts. If we went in and specifically said, we at BYDC or we at CCI stand in opposition to House Bill 314, which legalizing marijuana or something like that, because it's a specific legislation, becomes lobbying. Whereas if we focus more on why the state of Idaho doesn't want to legalize marijuana as a whole, that tends to be more of the education side. And then, like I said, we as an organization can provide education about issues, and it's not considered lobbying unless we're taking those issues directly to the legislature ourselves. But educating the public is what we're supposed to do. So we just have to be careful if it's about a specific piece of legislation. It's better if it's just about issues.
Yeah, and Kendall did drop something in the chat, advocacy versus lobbying document. So you could download that and give that a look. And then Grace, this is one thing that might be good for you to reach out to Marianne and see if she might be able to give us a virtual workshop in January or February about lobbying versus advocacy, because she did in fall of 2020. She gave us a really good workshop on this and people really liked it. So David, do you want to just finish up your legislative committee by letting people know when you're meeting and stuff like that, since you've
Yeah, so Lindsay called me and asked to set like a specific meeting. I like to have the committee meetings before the general meeting so that we can report during the general committee meeting or the general meeting. So we thought we would start them as the Thursday before the monthly meeting. And I did that rather than a specific day, because I know sometimes because of holidays and stuff, our monthly meetings might get postponed by a week or whatnot. And so I thought that would accommodate for that. So in general, we're going to try the Thursday before the monthly CCI meeting.
And you know about what time you guys will be meeting?
I would say probably during the day, probably like 10 or 11.
Okay. So we will get that information posted up on the website, and we'll also share it on social media each month. So if you have just out of the whim, you want to join the committee meeting and listen into what's going on, you can. If you want to become a regular member, let Lindsay and I know, and we'll make sure we include you on the email reminders for those meetings. So
Yeah, and this is just my little 2 cents to add into that. This is just a good reminder right now, as we look forward at the calendar. Normally CCI's meeting would be on the 2nd of January, but where that will be the federal holiday for New Year's, it will be on the 9th. So for example, David's meeting would then fall on the 5th. Just to kind of explain that with some dates in mind.
appreciate it. Okay, well, David gave looks like Susie wants to be in the email list for those meetings. So David gave the legislative committee report. Thank you for that, David. Really appreciate it. Grace, are you ready for workforce development?
Absolutely. So we had our first meeting. We're now meeting the third Friday of every month at let me confirm the exact time instead of giving you a random time. At 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So that's 10 a.m. Pacific Time, because we go in between here. And we really are focusing on building out what we're going to go over the next few months. So what we would like to do with our time during the meetings, the regular meetings, is to highlight each one of you all and your programs and what you offer. So if you want to tell a little bit about your role, your organization, or anything like that, please let us know. You can either just message me. I'll put my email and my phone number in the chat. So that way we can really know what everyone's doing and how we can support one another. And then outside of this, we'll be doing trainings on assorted topics, such as, you know, the difference between education and lobbying. We can do something on that. We're looking at doing some work around LGBTQIA2+ and knowing how to support those communities. And we're in conversation with a couple other organizations about, you know, really building support around this topic and making us better servants to our communities. So if you have any interest in that, feel free to let me know, but that's really what we're focused on right now. Thanks.
Awesome. If you guys do have any like ideas on what kind of workshops that you would like to see in the 2023 for our monthly workshops, let us know so that we can get those scheduled and set up. Okay, we got the networking and membership committee. Danielle's not on, right?
No, she's yeah, she was not in office today. So
Can you want to share a little bit about that? And I believe she set up a time for their meeting as well, correct?
yeah, so She is going, sorry, she kind of had to change it a little bit, so I don't want to misrepresent her, but I'll tell you what we last spoke about, and if it's wrong, I will make sure to let you guys know. But I believe Danielle, I'm just opening my calendar before I speak, but I believe Danielle is meeting the Tuesday after every monthly meeting. So the first Tuesday of the month or the Tuesday following our monthly meetings, because sometimes that will be different. But and yeah, one thing that Danielle's really working on is we're trying to go across the state and, like Grace said, highlight you guys. So one thing that Danielle's specifically working on is really building out our newsletter and how we can highlight people around the state in that facet. So we kind of talked about maybe different coalition members or like CCI's board. With further communication, though, we talked about maybe it would be best to highlight people such as like, maybe there's just someone who sits on your guys' board that does really great, or Ryan, maybe there's someone in your community that really needs to be highlighted in the work that they do for prevention. And we want to kind of give them that line, that highlight. So Danielle's working on building out a file that it would almost be like little questionnaire kind of a thing. And it would just get sent to someone really short, sweet, and to the point. And then we'd like to highlight you in our newsletter and try to build that networking through that facet.
Do you remember the date for her committee
I don't
meeting?
believe yeah, so networking marketing meeting. So it's she has it the first Tuesday in January. So that will be January 3rd and it's at 3 p.m.
And we will get all that information out in the minutes, and we'll also be putting it up on the website and having it out via social media. So keep an eye out. And like I said, if you're interested in any of these committees, throw your information in the chat and we will scoop you up and add you to the contact list for those committee meetings. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the committees? So moving on, we'll do our region reps and our PFS coordinators. So we'll start in Region 1. Grace, do you want to talk about what's going on up in Region 1?
Totally. And I'm sorry I have my camera off. I'm in Arizona currently, so my background is just not really what it always is, and I don't want people to be like, Grace, you're weird. So in Region 1, we have no updates from our health district right now. They're just kind of chugging along in the same general work they've been doing. In terms of our representatives non-related to the health district, we're seeing Kootenai County Substance Abuse Council continuing their general work of their monthly meetings and that type of thing. Nothing really updating there. For Ida 5 specifically, we're re-upping everything to start the new year. So we've started planning our youth summit, going and doing some work with chapters and Ida Eyes with partnership from the health districts and continuing those community relations. And really, that's just all that's happening up here. Nothing wild.
Okay. And Emma is your guys' PFS coordinator, correct?
Yes. And she mentioned she's no longer attending these because
Oh, that's right. You're helping her out. Okay. Kelly's not on. Kaylee, you want to let us know what PFS is doing in Region 2?
Yeah, we're kind of just chugging along on our usual things, working on Youth Vision with Grace. That program's been going well. Going to continue that into the new year. We have our positive social norms, more like parent or community campaigns going right now as well. They're kind of fun winter and like New Year's themed coffee sleeves and billboards. Just working on scheduling some spring trainings, getting in touch with the instructors and getting registration and all that stuff sorted out. The lock monitor dispose campaign stuff is still going on. The brochures, getting Deterra lock boxes and timer caps out into the community. My intern Graydon has been working on a lot of great projects. He's been working on getting some provider education on prescription stimulant misuse kind of created. So we can add that to some of our resources that one of our other programs provides to providers. And he's been working on a resource list, a community resource list that includes counselors and other resources for our local community.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for what you guys are doing. Let's see. Region 3, Jerry or Dawn, if she's still on, do you guys want to let us know what's going on in Region 3?
Yeah, I can jump in here if you can understand me. Dawn and Daphne have been working real hard to cover for me, and I've been in and out. But in lieu of our November meeting, we didn't think we were going to have many be able to attend, so Dawn pulled together some of the highlights that they've been working on, and one of them, we've got a couple of new coalition members. One is an administrator from Valley View School District, which will be awesome. We also have a student from the Idaho Arts Charter School, who we met at the Napa Sticker Shock campaign meeting. Follow up on our Drug Trends Forum. Dawn was able to get that up on YouTube, even though we had a little bit of problem with the volume. We're learning how to do this as we go. I'd say we, but it's mostly Dawn and Daphne. But let's see, Dawn also met with Chris Blythe with the Geo Group to talk about those coming for reentry services coming out of corrections. College of Idaho had a speaker panel, and Dawn wasn't given very much notice, but she scrambled and she was able to represent the coalition. There were about 25 students there and other panel members. She had, there was some college police, prosecuting attorney, an AA rep, harm reduction rep. So that's kind of cool. We've been a little concerned about Kratom, and even though it's been around for a while now, there's a big push. So Dawn was able to share a fact sheet about that. We're followed up with Tall Cop with his newsletter. Just we're staying in touch with him and what he does, and trying to think what else. Dawn, can you think of anything else?
Good job, Jerry. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to say I love Dawn and Daphne. They are always working. They're always covering things. It's just great. I just love this little group and how we work so well together and cover for each other. And especially since I'm the one being covered for mostly now, I really appreciate it. We've got a great group with the 2C Coalition. They're awesome.
Yeah, we're taking a bit of a hiatus for November, December. So we'll just shoot out information to our folks, but we'll be back and kicking in January.
Awesome. Tara, do you have any updates?
Not too much. We did 2 sticker shocks in October, November with the Nampa Mayor's Teen Council and Caldwell Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, and 2C Drug Free Coalition was there too, which is awesome. And I think we had over 12,000 bags stickered, and I think around 40 plus youth, which is way more than last year, which is really awesome. The mayor's groups around here have really increased in student numbers, which is really exciting. In conjunction with the sticker shock campaign that started the day after Thanksgiving, we also had some coffee sleeves at local coffee shops again. So some Be the Parent coffee sleeves out, and then some little flyers, I guess you would say, for coffee shop staff to have on the window. I don't know if they ended up posting them on the window so that folks could see the little sign with information about the campaign, or if it was just staff sharing that information, but it had a QR code on there to Be the Parents campaign too. So hopefully going to get some feedback on how that went. Like Kaylee mentioned, we're also working with IDFI to do the Youth Vision Social Norms campaign. So We've just extended our contract to go through the rest of the grant. So excited about that, reaching a lot of kids. And then we also have with a separate group, a parenting awareness campaign, and we just extended our campaign on that too. So we'll be doing that through the end of the year, and that's getting really good numbers. We're getting like hundreds of thousands of views on these little posts. So we're excited about that. And then yeah, lots of prescription pouches and disposal lock boxes and education materials to folks. We still have funding available for different projects, and we're kind of brainstorming on some other awareness projects. So hopefully more updates to come in the new year.
Awesome. Region 4 don't have a representative. Kendall, you want to talk about what MADC is doing?
Sure. I think gone are the days of like less busy times. Usually things in the past have slowed down about now, but we've actually had quite a few requests to speak in the schools, health classes, life skills classes, and criminal justice classes. That's where Haley is today. And then we also partnered with the Meridian Community Center to provide resources with our crisis intervention team here at the police department, talking about mental health and substance use or abuse. So that's kind of been going on. And then I was out just a little while. I was sick with COVID, but that slowed things down and put me behind planning for CADCA, and really excited to have Haley attend and get her knowledge up to speed and some training for her in her new role, and updating, you know, paperwork and admin type stuff while it's a little less busy, as I should say, in these months. So
You did you ever get anywhere near completed with that parent document yet?
I'm struggling, to be quite honest, with the communication with Tribute Media, and part of it was my fault. Like, I was supposed to turn around and get them some more edits, and then I was out with COVID for 2 weeks. So it's really been a long project, and I don't have any other direct contacts with anyone besides Madison over there. So I emailed her last week, and I'm waiting to hear from her again. And I don't have an editable form where I can complete the edits myself, because at this point that would be far quicker. So no, it's not done yet, but we're close. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, Lindsay, can we put that on a to-do list to touch base with?
And it's not just their fault. I need to be clear too. It's
Oh,
frustrating that it's taken this long, but it's like they'll get things done and then I'm out, or something's going on here, and then vice versa. So it's been both.
Yeah, I just asked because she sent us an email last week saying we're good to work on, like, asking us if we have anything we want them to work on, kind of thing. And so if it is taking more time than expected with the mini grant, I'd love to hand them this to say, let's kind of hone down and focus on this project to get it done. So if they have to use some of, because we were underspent last grant with their budget anyway, so we have a little bit of wiggle room to be able to make sure we get that, because I'd like to get that done. It'd be nice to get it done so that you have it for the second half of the school year.
It'd be fabulous. Yes.
So.
Okay. Does CCI have any funding if we were to request help with printing?
Yes.
Or yes.
So
Okay.
so we had talked about that with the Radar Center, and they said, given your specs, that they would be able to print it at a extremely, like, a really affordable cost. And we had already talked about being able to cover that with our marketing budget. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, Heather.
So we, like Tara mentioned, we still have a lot of the prescription lock boxes and Datera packages available. I was actually out of them for a while. It took a long time for some reason to get those in. So we do have those back and available if anybody in the community has any need for them, or if you have any events that you're tabling and you want to have those there, we do have those in stock. So we've been really working on getting those out into the community, along with information, educational supplies. And then this past month, I kicked off a prescription stimulant misuse public awareness campaign. We really tried to focus that timeline around when our college university students are coming back from Thanksgiving and going to be hitting the books for finals. That's, you know, this dead week is coming up soon if we're not in it right now. So that was a big push to get that out. We've got social media ads on Spotify also. Hopefully that does well and gets the word out. And then also, like Tara, we still have mini grants available for scholarships, or mini grants and scholarships available, both for evidence-based programs to be used in the communities, as well as any kind of professional development that people might need related to prevention. We also have some mini grants available for environmental projects. So if you need lighting around skate parks, that type of thing, I believe signage is also included in that. So if there's anything that you need in the community for those, we do also have expert training and DITEP, bottom life skills, positive action, all of the normal PFS programs are still available. So if anybody has any needs for those, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Do you guys have a list of the evidence-based programming that you do work with that that people can utilize to get that funding? Because one of the things we hear from some of our coalitions and some people who were interested, they're just like, we're not quite sure what, and they don't want to, they feel like they're going to waste their time if they're not asking for the right thing.
Yeah, I believe I saw a list. I have just like a short list for my program of a few things that we offer as far as those training goes. I can put that in the chat, I believe, but then also I'm pretty sure I have a list that I can get a hold of. If not, I'm sure one of the other PFS coordinators on the call can say that they've got it. But Tara,
the Office of Drug Policy has a Idaho approved evidence-based list, and I can send that to Lindsay so that she can send that out to everyone. And I know.
Thanks, Tara.
Yeah, of course. I'm always looking for it. can never remember where I save it, but I know I have it, and I've emailed it to people, so I will send it to you, Lindsay.
Appreciate it. It just it helped people. I know sometimes, and I'm one of those people, I'd much rather fill out a request for proposal than a grant sometimes, because I'm just like, request for proposal is just in my wheelhouse more. It's the business side of things. Grants, they always seem to scare me off. So I think that's one of the things we continually are hearing from people is, what evidence-based programming do they want? Like, are they talking about? So I think that would be a good tool so that we could empower our partners and coalitions to be able to think of successful ways that they could apply for that. So appreciate it. Let's see, 5. We don't have anybody for Region 5. There's not a PFS coordinator for 5, right? On?
No, but Marianne emailed me. She wasn't able to make it to the meeting. Sorry, I have emails from a bunch of people well, not a bunch of people, 2 people. She said she's just continuing with the prevention work that they've been doing, nothing new at this time. They're just gearing up for the holidays and the transitions that come with the grants.
Okay. And then 6, what's going on in 6? We don't have a PFS. Do you have anything from 6? PFS coordinator or anybody? Lindsay? No? Okay. And then Marco didn't send anything. I asked him when he said he would be out of town for 7.
He did send me an email.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just says, sorry, I'll read it now. I don't mean to. I feel like I'm talking a lot today. Hi guys, I've missed social interaction, I guess. But it just says, Sia is recording videos for various drug prevention topics. The kids wrote short video messages, 15 to 30 seconds long. He'd love to share those at some point. We had 2 events covered by the media for our opioid shoe display. and the Spark Open House. The mobile parent unit is continued being used and has another event scheduled this week in partnership with the Public Health Department. Our community partners recognize the importance of data-based decision-making and are willing to help get more survey information from the youth in our area. We plan to work hard on this in the next few months, more to come.
Okay. And Valerie jumped off, right? I don't see her.
Yeah, I also have hers. That's the other one. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay. She says she had a naloxone training, so she apologized for having to leave. They're promoting lock boxes, monitor and dispose campaign to distribute medication lock boxes and Terra drug deactivation pouches as they have before, continuing on with that. Positive action group classes start February 2023. Drug and alcohol trends education, abbreviated as DATE webinars in 2023. Anyone interested in participating in positive action or DATE webinars, please reach out to Mallory and she'll give additional information.
All right. So funding opportunities like the PFS coordinators have been talking about, they do have multiple grants open for prevention related funding. We will get that evidence-based programs list and we will share that out with the minutes, and we'll share that out of I'll probably do a blog on it, and then we'll have it on social media too. So we'll get that out a few different ways, so that you guys can maybe get some of the questions answered that we commonly get asked. We did apply for the first time since I've been here. We applied for a liquor mini grant, partially to have Ray Lozano come out and do. He has a program called Pee, Pass, or Puke. It's basically the three things that your body does when it's trying to get that toxic thing called alcohol out of your system. I used to have his DVDs, and my daughters, they would actually say, "Daddy, can we watch Ray's video?" Because they think it was hilarious. So I was like, "Sure, go get yourself educated." I'm not going to have girls that are going to be at a party, and if there's alcohol, they're going to know exactly why people are doing what they're doing. So, and then also, some of our rural communities like Orofino have asked about the sticker program that we started developing in June. So we're building a consensus around which sticker, and then if we get this grant, we will be printing a sizable amount of these stickers, and we will be getting them out into the communities. Sounds like I want to say Amber and Salmon asked for them, and Natasha and Orofino have asked multiple times about them. So I know at least two communities that they'll get used in. I'm pretty sure we could find other communities that need a reminder of who we are supposed to be giving alcohol to. So if you are interested in being a part of the final decisions on which program we use, and if we have to make any alterations to the sticker in the program, throw your information in the chat or reach out to Lindsay, and we'll get you hooked up with that planning meeting once we find out that we were funded. And then training opportunities, got CADCA coming up. And then I know Workforce Development Committee's been working hard on some workshops and stuff. So before we have 15 minutes, I believe Susie has something she'd like to talk about before we adjourn. Go ahead, Susie.
Yes, I want to talk about the Camarina Award. That nominations are coming up. They're closing the 15th of December, but I can hold off if you have someone that you want to nominate. David, the chief of police in Star, wanted to nominate Rob Fowler, their SRO. And then Ryan, if you have any SROs or people that work with the youth in educating on the drugs and alcohol, etc., and you would like to nominate someone, I can ask Lindsay to forward the nomination form to you. It's very easy. David Gomez was our last winner, and we're looking for another one. We'd like to have a national, but Dawn and Jerry, I received a nomination for your dancing SRO. And if you two would like to write a letter of recommendation as well and email it to me, the more letters we get for these people, the better chance they have of possibly going national. But like I said, the deadline is coming up, and I'm very proud of our Camarina Award winners, and I'd like to see more. So please give that consideration. Ryan, if you have questions, again, please contact me. And that's what I have to say for today. Yes.
And Susie, I would absolutely second the chief's nomination for Rob Fowler. I've had the pleasure and honor of working with Rob when I was out in Emmett. He's an amazing investigator. There was a lot that I've learned about internet crimes against children because of Rob. He was a great mentor when I was a very young investigator and very young detective. You really can't ask for better. And if there's anything that I can do to help support that nomination, I would love to help support Rob for that. I wish I had people like Rob Fowler working out here, but I just can't afford them in Haber.
Well, put that in writing and send it to me because it will help a lot.
Yeah, those of you who have worked with Detective Fowler, me and Lindsay have had a chance to work with him. He is an amazing guy. I believe he's on his way out. He's looking at retirement here pretty quickly. So he actually has been doing everything he possibly can to make sure that Star Middle School, the place where he is stationed currently, is set up for long-term success, and that it's going to be a healthy school for kids to go to. Just love the man's passion, and he's been around forever. Most old cops don't like hanging around kids. They just, the profession just wears at you sometimes, and by the time you get that old, you're done with everything. And he doesn't seem like he's anywhere near ready for retirement. He's got a lot of passion for his community. He's got a lot of passion for keeping kids safe, and I love cops like that. So Susie, I'll be sending you a letter as well for Detective Fowler, because that man has made a massive impact on me in the short time that I have known him. And anybody else, if you want to send one for Rob or any of your other cops, it is a thankless job, especially nowadays, to be an SRO inside of our schools. My wife can attest to the high school that she works at, how disrespectful the kids can be. And so really, if you've got a good SRO, you've got one that cares, they're worth their weight in gold. So
They really are. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, well,
Really quickly, Susie, would you just put your email in the chat for people asking to write letters? I know Ryan just asked for it as well. I'm trying to copy it quickly, but I think you'll be faster at typing it than I am.
you get that, Susie? Can you put your email in the chat?
If not, Ryan, I'll send it to you. Don't worry, I will get it to you. Just really quickly, I
There
know
it
we're
is.
about to close, or at least I think it's going that way. I know we kind of had this, maybe it didn't, I know, David, while I have you, it's my catchphrase. I'm sorry, he's laughing at me, but really quickly, we kind of need to start thinking about the spring conference for CCI. So just those people who extended invitations to come to our subcommittee meetings. If you have ideas or feelings about those would be great to attend and share those there as well. You know, with funding through Chobani or Optum or all those things, those decisions kind of have to be made 3-ish months in advance. So just kind of putting that little seed in your brain.
Do we already have a date for that?
Yes. So we're
Oh.
we're looking at the first, hold on. So whenever the meeting would be in March.
And
we're
I
looking
didn't know.
at March.
That's okay. 6th, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, because the sooner we can get it on our calendars, the better.
Yeah,
Even just a placeholder.
Yeah, I would put March 6th as a solid placeholder. We're only competing with the State Department of Education, I believe, this year, because there's no ICAD. So this spring is a little less busy than it was this last spring. But I think I'd like to get ahead of the prevention conference stuff rather than behind it. So yeah, I think we're going to be sending out an email this in December that everybody can respond to, a couple options that we have for where we can hold the spring conference this year. And if we can build consensus through email, that would be amazing, because then we can start finalizing a lot of plans. So.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Rose? No? Okay. Does anybody else have anything, or can I get a motion to adjourn early and give you guys?
Wait,
9 minutes?
wait, I do. Sorry.
Oh, Kendall.
What month are we in? We're in December, January. No January meeting, or do we have a January meeting?
We have a January meeting. It'll be the 9th, I believe.
Okay, I was just, the agenda had it, I think it didn't get updated, so it had November 7th.
Oh, I missed something. Dang
It's
it.
okay. There's lots of details in there. So January 9th.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, nope, we're good. Just looking for that confirmation.
Yeah, it'll be January 9th, because the meeting will normally fall on 2nd, but that's a federal holiday
Okay,
according to my
perfect.
coordinator. So.
Okay.
Anybody
Was-
else have any questions or concerns?
Good meeting, thank you.
Well,
I can
Merry
make a
Christmas,
motion.
everybody, before what?
I said I can make a motion if that's what you're looking for.
Sure.
And make a
Mhm.
motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ryan.
Second.
All right. Everyone in favor?
Aye.
No
Hi.
opposed, right? If you're opposed, you can stick around and hang out with me and Lindsay and talk to us for a second. All right. Everyone have a Merry Christmas, and be on the lookout for emails.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Are you staying on,
Susie,
David?
I'll get you that letter hopefully in the next 2 days.
Are we meeting about spring conference at all today?
I was supposed to put it on the agenda, and I got sucked into the craziness of CADCA. So what I'm thinking is what I proposed in the meeting a minute ago was just to send out to everybody who normally gets our meeting agendas, to send out the 2 possible locations and see if we can't build a consensus through email. Because if we can, then we can get it figured out now instead of waiting till January.
Is that, you sent out an email to Kaylee and I asking to meet after the meeting today about spring conference. Is that instead of that?
No. Sorry. Everything is getting crossed up here right now.
You're totally good. I don't have a brain today, so I feel better.
So are you good do you have time, Kaylee?
Yeah, I'm good. I can meet.
So some of the so we have a lot on the agenda to be figured out. I wanted to figure out location. So you guys are both in North Idaho, right? Because you're in Region 2 and you're in Region 1. Okay. We were thinking, so the last time we had a spring conference when Chloe was working with me, we had it in Idaho Falls. It went amazing. Like the hotel was amazing. Like nothing went wrong with it. The reason why I'm considering not about a location change is, one, to kind of break things up and move, like
I'm gonna stop.
Idaho Falls once, do it in a different part of East Idaho.